I never thought I'd be the guy writing in a Reddit thread about betrayal, but here I am. My story probably isn't unique, but it feels impossible to process right now. It started as the kind of thing you'd see in movies, something you'd think only happens to other people. We'd been engaged for a little over a year, planned a wedding, and everything seemed perfect, or so I thought. My wife, Sarah, is the kind of woman who always seemed honest. She's got this bright smile that made it easy to trust her. We'd been through a lot: long-distance dating, job stress, family drama, and somehow we always managed to come out stronger. I was genuinely happy, or at least I had been. That is, until I looked through her phone. It was a quiet Sunday and I was just browsing her photos. Nothing unusual, or so I thought. We were supposed to meet her parents later that night, so I wasn't expecting anything out of the ordinary. But then I saw it. A folder labeled Memories, and inside there were pictures I instantly recognized. Nude selfies. Not just provocative shots, but intimate ones, full-on, explicit photos. My stomach dropped and my palms went cold. I stared at the screen, trying to process what I was seeing. The photos looked fresh, just taken recently. My eyes locked onto the images, then onto the timestamp. They were from just a few days ago. And then I saw it, another picture, one that made my blood run cold. She was with her boss, Jason, at some hotel room. I recognized the curtains, the faint glow of city lights through the window. It wasn't just an affair, it was something raw, dirty, and so painfully clear. I couldn't breathe. My mind spun and my heart pounded so hard I thought it would burst out of my chest. How long had this been going on? How did I miss the signs? She's always been a little flirtatious, but I never imagined her crossing the line. I'd seen her work late, but I told myself it was just work. I'd seen her on her phone a lot, but I dismissed it as innocent. Now, all those little red flags made sense. What hit me hardest was that I'd trusted her completely. We shared everything: our dreams, fears, plans for the future, and I believed she was all in. And here she was, with her boss, who's twice her age and married himself. The worst part, I found out days before our wedding. I had this gnawing feeling for weeks, like something was off, but I kept pushing it aside. I thought maybe it was just nerves. I never expected to find proof so blatant. That night I sat in my apartment, staring at the phone, trembling. I ran my fingers through my hair, trying to keep calm, but my stomach felt like it was twisted in knots. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How long has she been hiding it? I wanted to scream, to cry, but mostly I felt numb. I didn't even know what to do next. The thing is, I don't even know if I want to confront her yet. Part of me is so furious I want to tear her apart. Part of me is hurt, crushed that I was so blind. But underneath it all, there's this simmering rage. I want revenge, something cold, calculated, and satisfying. I want her to feel what I've been feeling, to understand what she's lost. I've been working on a plan. It's not impulsive, and I want it to hurt without crossing any lines. I won't do anything illegal, but I want her to see the consequences of her betrayal. I need her to understand that trust isn't just something you throw away for a moment of pleasure. It's everything. Right now, I'm sitting here trying to breathe through the shock. I keep replaying her smile, her laugh, the way she used to look at me. I keep telling myself I deserve better, but it's hard to see past the pain. I didn't think I'd be the guy who'd get betrayed like this, especially so close to the wedding. I don't know how I'll ever look at her the same way again. The trust is shattered and I feel like I've been punched in the gut. But I also know I won't let her get away with it. Not without consequences. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do it, something that hits her hard but keeps me in control. Now I'm sitting here, staring at the screen, heart pounding, trying to decide my next move. I've got a plan, but I need to think it through carefully, because once I act, there's no going back. More I sit with it, the more I realize how much this has shaken me. I thought I knew her, thought I knew us. But seeing those pictures, especially the one from the hotel, it's like a punch in the gut every time I think about it. The betrayal isn't just the cheating. It's the idea that she's been lying, hiding this whole time, and that I was so blind I didn't see it coming. I guess the thing that keeps circling in my head is the fact that she's with her boss, Jason. Not just that she cheated, no, that's almost the easier part, but that she did it with someone who's supposed to be in a position of authority, who's married himself. I keep thinking about the power dynamic, how she might have felt trapped or maybe just foolish. Either way, it's a betrayal that cuts deep. I can't just confront her without a plan. I've seen enough movies, read enough stories to know that an emotional outburst won't help me right now. I need to be cold, calculating. I want her to realize that I know, without her denying it, without her spinning some bullshit story. That's why I started piecing together what I could do. First, I need to gather evidence. I want her to understand this isn't just a one-time slip-up. It's ongoing, and I've caught her red-handed. That means I'm going to dig through her phone, her email, her social media. I want everything. I've already seen enough, but I need to be sure. I want her to know I'm not bluffing. Next, I need to figure out how to make her feel vulnerable without making things worse. I've decided I'll send her a message, something direct but not aggressive, something that makes her realize I know the truth without giving her time to spin her lies. Maybe I'll send her a screenshot of the hotel photo just so she knows I've got it all. No words, just that image, that undeniable proof. But here's the thing. I also want her to see what I can do if I really wanted to ruin her. Not with some stupid revenge like exposing her publicly. No, I'm smarter than that. I want her to feel the sting of knowing I could do worse. Maybe I'll leak some of her private photos to her friends, or maybe I'll plant some fake evidence that makes her think I've got more than I do. Not to destroy her, but to let her see that I'm capable of a silent, deadly kind of revenge. I've been researching how to do this without crossing lines, how to make her feel exposed but not get caught. I want her to realize that her actions have consequences, and that I'm not the kind of guy who lets things slide. I also want her to feel like she's lost control, that the trust she shattered is now out of her hands. Right now I'm sitting here, my heart still pounding, but my mind is clearer. I know what I need to do. I've already drafted a message. I'm going to send her the photo with a simple caption. Found this. Thought you'd like to see it before I decide what to do next. No threats, no accusations, just enough to make her realize I know everything. I want her to panic, to start questioning whether I've discovered more. I keep telling myself that I deserve honesty, that I deserve respect. And if she can't give me that, then I'll take everything I can get. I know this will change everything between us, but I'm tired of feeling like I'm the only one trying to protect what's left of us. Maybe this is my way of reclaiming some dignity. I've got her phone ready, my finger hovering over the screen. I know once I send that message, things will start spiraling. She'll probably try to deny it, or maybe she'll break down. Either way, I'll be ready. I want her to feel the weight of her betrayal, and I want her to understand that I'm not going to be the fool she thought I was. So here's the plan. Send the proof, watch her reaction, and then see how I move forward. Whatever happens next, I know one thing. She's not walking away from this without consequences. The trust is gone, and I want her to understand that the price of her lies is her marriage, her reputation, and maybe even her freedom to betray again. And as I sit here, staring at the phone, I can feel the adrenaline surging. It's like I've got a split second to act before everything slips away. I take a deep breath, steady myself, and finally tap send. The message is out. Now I wait, knowing the game has just begun. The moment I sent that message, everything changed. It was like flipping a switch. A quiet, almost sickening feeling settled in my stomach. I stared at my phone, my fingers trembling slightly, part anticipation, part dread. I knew the moment she saw that photo, her world would start to unravel. Almost immediately, her name lit up my screen. I hesitated for a second, then answered. "Hey," I said, voice even, but inside I was anything but calm. "You might want to check your phone." There was a pause on the other end, then her voice, hesitant and confused. "What do you mean? What's going on?" I kept my tone steady. "Just look at the message I sent you. Tell me what you see." Silence. Then a flurry of movement, her tapping, her breathing heavy. "Oh my God," she finally whispered. I could hear her voice falter, that nervous crack that told me she knew exactly what I'd done. She must have looked at the screen, saw the photo, and realized I wasn't bluffing. "Did you," she started, voice trembling, "did you do this?" I let the sentence hang. "Did I?" "Do what?" "I just sent you the proof. You tell me." She exhaled sharply, voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't mean for you to see that. It's nothing," she added quickly, almost too quickly. "Just a stupid mistake, okay? I was drunk. It meant nothing." "Yeah, right." I clenched my fists, feeling the heat rise in my chest. A mistake, that's your excuse. You're with your boss, Sarah, at a hotel. You think I don't see that? Another pause, then she started crying softly. Please don't do anything stupid. I swear I didn't mean for you to find out like this. It just happened and just happened, I repeated coldly. That's a good one. Maybe next you'll tell me it was just a one-time thing, huh? I didn't want you to find out this way, she sobbed. I love you. I swear I do. I don't know what I was thinking. I felt a mix of rage and heartbreak twisting inside me. I wanted to scream, to tear her apart, but I knew I had to stay calm. Love, that's what you call it after cheating with your boss, after hiding this for weeks. She was silent, crying harder now. Please, I'll do anything, just don't ruin everything. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to keep my voice even. You already did that. You lied, cheated, and now you want me to pretend I don't see it. Sorry, Sarah, I'm done pretending. I want answers, and I want them now. Her voice cracked again. Can we talk in person? My stomach churned. I didn't want to see her face, not like this. But I knew I had to. No, I said firmly. This is over. I'll tell you what's next. I'm going to make sure you regret what you've done, and I'm not doing it with words. She begged, pleaded, promised she'd fix everything. But I knew better. I'd already started planning my move. I wanted her to feel the full weight of her betrayal, and I wasn't about to let her off easy. I told her I'd be in touch. Then I hung up and sat back, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. The adrenaline was rushing now, but beneath it, a cold, calculating part of me was forming a plan. She thought she'd thrown a wrench into everything, that I'd crumble or forgive her. But I wasn't going to let her manipulate me that way. I pulled out my laptop and started mapping out my next steps. I had to make her understand that I wasn't the kind of guy who'd get played like a fool. She crossed a line she couldn't uncross, and I was going to make damn sure she paid for it. First, I was going to create a folder with all the evidence I had, screenshots, the photo, the timestamps. I'd also save copies of her messages, her emails, anything to make her realize I'd been thorough. Then I'd send her another message, something that would push her further, maybe even make her panic. But I wasn't ready to blow everything up just yet. I wanted to hold something back, to keep control. I had to be smart. I knew her too well. She'd try to spin her way out of this, deny everything, or worse, try to manipulate me into forgetting. Not this time. I also started thinking about how I'd confront her in person if it came to that. I needed to be prepared for every reaction. Rage, tears, denial. I had to be ready for all of it. But I promised myself that once I moved forward, I'd do it decisively. No more second-guessing, no more giving her the benefit of the doubt. I looked around my apartment, the familiar walls suddenly feeling claustrophobic. The only thing that mattered now was what I was going to do next. I didn't want to be the guy who got played, who let his life fall apart because of some stupid mistake. I wanted to be the guy who took control, who showed her that actions have consequences. So I drafted my next message, one that would hit her hard but still keep me in the driver's seat. I needed her to know I was serious. And then I hit send. Now I wait. Every second feels like an eternity. I know this isn't over, not even close. But I also know that I'm finally starting to take control of my own story again. And I won't stop until I see her realize what she's lost, what she's thrown away. The response from Sarah didn't come immediately, which only fueled my nerves. I kept checking my phone every minute, expecting her to blow up, to call or message back, but nothing. I could feel the tension growing in my chest, like a tight band squeezing everything inside. I knew she was probably panicking, trying to figure out her next move, just like I was. In the meantime, I started to take stock of everything. I'd already saved the photos, the timestamps, and all her messages. I was ready to use this evidence, but I also realized I needed to do more, something that would make her realize I wasn't bluffing. I needed her to understand that I'd go all the way, that I had nothing to lose. I opened her social media accounts and started to draft a plan. I wasn't going to outright expose her publicly yet. That was too risky. Instead, I wanted her to feel the weight of what I knew and what I could do. I decided I'd send a carefully worded message, one that hinted at the evidence I had but didn't reveal everything. Something like, "You might think you've hidden this well, but I see everything. Think carefully about what you want to do next." I hit send and my stomach clenched. Then I leaned back, feeling a strange mixture of satisfaction and dread. I'd made my move, but the real game was just beginning. Now I needed to prepare for her reaction and decide how far I was willing to go. Suddenly, another message popped up. It was from her. My heart hammered. I hesitated, then opened it. "Please," it started, "just let me explain. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I love you, I swear. I was drunk and I was stupid, but I never wanted to hurt you." I read it over twice. Her words sounded desperate, but I knew better. She was trying to spin her way out of it, trying to make me doubt what I already knew. I clenched my jaw, feeling the fury simmering just beneath the surface. My fingers tapped the screen as I typed a reply. Explain what exactly? The hotel photos, the selfies, or the lies? There was no response immediately. I knew she was thinking, trying to come up with some story that would save her. Meanwhile, I was planning my next move. I wanted her to feel cornered, vulnerable, unsure of what I might do next. I decided I'd send her a follow-up, something that would make her realize I was serious about the proof I had. I pulled out my email account and began drafting a message. I wouldn't send it yet. Patience is key. I wanted her to believe I was holding all the cards. This message would contain hints, maybe a few more screenshots, enough to keep her on edge. I knew she'd try to deny or deflect, but I was prepared for that. As I worked, I kept replaying the moment I discovered her in those photos. The way it made my stomach turn, the sick feeling I couldn't shake. That image from the hotel was burned into my mind. The fact that she'd done this with her boss at a hotel just a few days before our wedding. It felt surreal, like some nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I also realized I needed to get some space. I couldn't keep sitting here, obsessing over what she was doing. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. I decided I'd go for a walk, clear my head, but I'd be ready to respond when she finally broke her silence. When I returned home, the message had finally appeared. It was a simple text: "Please, I just want to talk, let's meet." That was her move, trying to control the situation to get me to come to her. I paused, thinking. I knew that if I met her now, I'd be giving her the upper hand. She'd try to plead her case, maybe manipulate me into forgiving her. No, I had to be smarter. Instead, I sent her a reply: "Not yet, I need some space. When I'm ready to talk, I'll let you know." It was brief, cold even, but I wanted her to understand I wasn't going to fall for her tricks. That night I stayed awake long after she'd gone to bed, my mind running in circles. Every detail about her, her smile, her touch, the way she used to look at me, felt distant now. The trust I once had was broken into pieces, scattered across those photos and her lies. I knew I had to stay strong, that I couldn't let her see me falter. But the truth was, I felt numb. I'd never imagined this kind of betrayal, especially not so close to our wedding day. It made me question everything. My judgment, our future, the very foundation of what I thought we had. Whatever she was planning, I was ready. I'd given her enough rope. The next move was hers. I just hoped she realized that once I made my next move, there was no going back. And deep down, I knew I'd see her desperation soon enough. The days that followed were some of the longest I've ever experienced. She kept trying to reach out, sending messages that ranged from pleading to borderline manipulative. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach clenched with a mixture of anticipation and dread. I knew she was desperate, and honestly, I was starting to enjoy the power I had. Not in a sadistic way, but because I finally felt like I was taking control of a situation I never expected to be in. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I stayed quiet, letting her stew in her own confusion. I wanted her to realize I wasn't going to be the guy who caved, who forgave her just because she cried or begged. That's when I finally decided it was time to escalate further. I crafted a message that was blunt but assertive. I told her I had more evidence, more than she realized, and that it was in my possession. I kept it vague but enough to make her nervous. "You thought you hid everything, but I see what you're trying to do. When I'm ready, I'll show you what I've got. Be prepared to face the consequences." Her reply was immediate. "Please, I'll do anything. Just don't ruin everything over a stupid mistake. I love you. I swear I do." I stared at her words, feeling a strange mixture of anger and pity. I typed back, "Love doesn't look like this. Love isn't hiding nude photos from your fiancé and cheating with your boss. Remember that." She responded with a flurry of apology texts, begging me to meet, to talk, to give her a chance. But I'd already made up my mind. I wanted her to feel the pressure, to realize that her lies had consequences, and that I was serious about shutting this chapter down. So I set my next move. I went through her social media profiles again, looking for anything that might give me leverage. I found her Instagram account, where she'd posted a few selfies, some happy moments with friends. I made a plan to subtly introduce a post that would hint at her indiscretions, something that would make her realize I knew more than she thought. But I also knew I had to be careful. If I made a mistake, she might find a way to spin her story and turn the tables. I wanted her to feel cornered, yes, but I also wanted to keep my cards close to my chest. I started drafting a message to her that would make her panic. "Just so you know," I texted, "I've shared some things with a few people, not everything, but enough to make you think twice. When I decide it's time, everything comes out. You've got a choice: stop pretending everything's fine or watch your world fall apart." Her response was almost immediate. "Please, I'll fix this. I'll do anything if you just give me a chance." I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of everything. I knew I was on the verge of doing something drastic, but I didn't care. I needed her to understand that this wasn't just about her cheating. It was about respect, honesty, and consequences. For too long, she'd been in control, but now I was taking that control back. Later that evening, I decided to test her resolve. I told her I'd meet her, but only if she promised to come clean and be honest about everything. That was a lie, of course. I had no intention of trusting her again, not fully. But I wanted her to think she still had some power, some say. She agreed, and I could hear the relief in her voice. "Thank you, I'll be there. Just don't ruin everything, okay?" I responded coldly, "We'll see." I knew that once I saw her face, once I confronted her in person, I'd finally decide what to do next. For now, I kept my plan in motion, waiting, watching, ready to strike. That night I lay awake in bed, the adrenaline still coursing through me. It's strange how betrayal can turn you into a different person, more calculating, more ruthless. I'd never thought I'd be here, plotting revenge and feeling satisfaction from holding all the cards. But I was done playing nice. I knew she'd soon realize she'd pushed me too far, and when that moment arrived, I'd be ready. I had everything. I needed proof, patience, and a resolve to see this through. The next step was just around the corner, and I was going to make sure she paid for what she'd done. No matter what, I refused to be the fool anymore. The day finally came when she showed up at my apartment, nervous and desperate, clutching her purse like it might somehow keep her safe. When she knocked on the door, I opened it slowly, my face unreadable. She looked like she wanted to say something, but the words got stuck in her throat. Her eyes flicked nervously around my face, searching for some sign of mercy, but I didn't give her the satisfaction. "Come in," I said quietly, stepping aside. She hesitated, then entered, her hands trembling. I watched her closely as she took a seat on the edge of the couch, her lips trembling. The silence stretched thick and heavy until I finally broke it. "You wanted to talk," I said. "Well, here I am. I've thought about everything. The photos, the hotel, the lies. It's all out in the open now. And I've made my decision." Her eyes welled with tears. "Please, I did mean for any of this to happen. It was a mistake, I swear. I love you," I cut her off calmly but with finality. "Love, that's what you call this. Cheating on me with your boss, sending nude photos, hiding everything for weeks." I took a deep breath. "I want the truth, Sarah, and I want it now. Did you ever love me?" She looked down, tears spilling over her cheeks. "I was stupid. It's just, I guess I wasn't happy. Things weren't perfect between us, and I got caught up in someone else's attention. I didn't mean for it to go this far." I clenched my fists. "That's not an answer. I want to know if you ever really loved me or if I was just some placeholder until someone better came along." She looked up, her voice barely a whisper. "I loved you, I think. But I was so confused, so lost. And Jason made me feel special again, even if it was wrong." I nodded slowly, feeling the anger simmering just below the surface. "You made your choice, and I've made mine. I've had enough of your lies, Sarah. I want you to understand you're not going to walk away from this unscathed." I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. I promised myself I wouldn't do something reckless, but I kept some of the evidence, screenshots, photos, everything. "And now I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly who you are." Her face twisted with fear. Please don't do that. I'll do anything, just don't ruin my reputation. I looked at her, cold and detached. You already did that to me, Sarah. Trust is gone. You want to keep your job, your friends, your life? Fine, but I'm done pretending. I'm about to send everything I have to your boss, your family, your friends, because I want the world to know what kind of person you really are. Her hands shook as she begged. Please, just give me another chance. I'll prove I'm sorry. I'll do whatever it takes. I shook my head. Sorry isn't enough now. You had your chance and you threw it away. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to leave now and I'm going to walk away. I want you to think about what you've lost, what you threw away for a moment of weakness. And when I come back later, I want you to know that everything's out there and there's no going back from this. I got up, grabbed my keys, and turned to leave. Her voice broke behind me. Please don't. I paused at the door, took a deep breath, and looked back. Goodbye, Sarah. I closed the door behind me and didn't look back. As I walked away, I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with sadness. I knew I had done what I needed to do, no more hiding, no more pretending. She lost my trust, and I made sure she understood exactly what that meant. In the end, I realized something important. No matter how much it hurts now, I deserved better. I deserved honesty, loyalty, respect. And I'd rather be alone than be with someone who'd treat me like this. Walking away that day was the hardest thing I've ever done. But it was also the most freeing. I don't regret it. Because sometimes the only way to reclaim yourself is to cut out everything that's broken. And that's exactly what I did.